What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And I have some truly sad news to pass on to you all. This is some news that just started breaking. Big George Foreman, the oldest man ever to win the heavyweight championship. Mike Tyson, before Mike Tyson, and the last lion remaining from the golden era of the 1970s has died. He was 76 years old. This is shocking to me because I remember a video that he did, might have been 3 months ago, where it showed him hit the heavy bag. And he was joking that he was ready for a comeback. He looked fine. He looked fine in that particular video. Big George Foreman. What can I say about him, man? I'm going off of memory here, but I believe he grew up in Houston, Texas, as a somewhat troubled youth, in the very troubled youth, actually, like 1950s and 1960s. And I believe he joined the Peace Corps, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, some of the stuff I'm going off of memory. I might be a little bit off with some of my recollection. As a matter of fact, I believe he met Lyndon Johnson back in 1967/68. At the White House is a picture of him meeting LBJ. But his boxing career began in earnest in 1968 at a time of much racial strife in this country. He for some reason was criticized by some of the black community. I think when he won an Olympic boxing competition in Mexico City, he waved the American flag, which was contrasting with the brothers. The name I'm slipping right now. That did the Black Power salute. People was calling him Uncle Tom, forgetting that George Foreman was, at that point in time was 20 years old, 21 years old. No, I don't even think he was 20 yet. He was 19 years old. And in his mind, his country was giving him opportunity, which was, in his mind, I think he had just won a gold medal. And, in his mind, his country had given him opportunity, which ultimately proved to be the pathway out of poverty, which was boxing. And he quickly established himself as a tremendous fighter. I think he started off his career something like 40-0 with 37 knockouts. And of course, it was January 22nd, 1973, when he stunned then reigning heavyweight champion Joe Frazier, absolutely flattened him. We all remember the footage of that. And at that point in time, man, George Foreman was being called, they said he was going to be champion for a decade. We had never seen someone this dominant. I mean, we had seen, of course, the great Jack Dempsey. We had seen Rocky Marciano. We had seen Sonny Liston, but George Foreman, literally was flattening people, like making his opponents look like children, rag dolls, amateurs. We saw what he did to Ken Norton. So when he fought Muhammad Ali, who at that point in time was perceived as a really, really good fighter, but he didn't look like the Ali of the 60s. Matter of fact, remember, he had just in the span of 2 years lost to Joe Frazier and unexpectedly lost to Ken Norton. And but Ali shocked the world, beat George Foreman, and George Foreman really never recovered from that for years. He went on to fight for a little while, Had a little some type of gimmick in Canada, I think it was, where he fought like 4 or 5 men in one night just to prove he was unbeatable, whatever. But he never really mentally recovered from that loss. And then, of course, I think it was in 1977 when he lost to, was it Jimmy? I think it was Jimmy Young. I think it was. I might have my Jimmy's mixed up. Was it Jimmy Young or Jimmy Ellis? I want to say it was Jimmy Young. But a fight that he was supposed to have won. Matter of fact, I think Jimmy Young floored him. I think it was that fight where George Foreman either uh, hallucinated from severe dehydration or, as he put it, had a religious experience. No matter what the case was, he was a changed man after that. He embraced Christianity and ultimately retired from boxing. And I think he returned to Houston, became a ordained minister, opened up a church, and vanished from the spotlight for 10 years. And it wasn't until the mid 1980s he resurfaced, about 80 pounds heavier, mostly bald, unrecognizable from the mustachioed afroed and very fit and fearsome George Foreman of his 20s, more of an affable, funny guy. You know what I'm saying? His personality, whether it was for effect or real, I think it was a little bit of both, had changed. But, I think if I remember correctly, he was having money stolen from him from accountants, and his church was in jeopardy as far as funding is concerned, and he needed money. So the only way he could do it, that he knew how, was to go back to boxing. And people laughed at him. They laughed at Big George. 37 years old. Come on, man. You're not going to come back. You're 300 and some pounds. But he worked hard and got back into shape. And he wasn't given anything. He started from the bottom. And he started beating up, he started beating up some bums, obviously. But he worked his way up to fighting Evander Holyfield, the reigning heavyweight champion of the world in 1991. And he made a good account of himself. You know what I'm saying? He was 42 years old. 42 years old at the time. Foreman lost the fight, but he showed heart, determination, and guts. But it looked like that was going to be his last shot until a series of events led to him having one last shot against Michael Moore in 1994. I think it was early November 1994, if I remember served correctly. And it looked like George Foreman wasn't going to be able to pull it off. But Michael Moore, going against the advice of his corner, tried to fight George Foreman toe-to-toe. And George took advantage of that. George played chicken a little bit, took some power off of his punches, and he landed you know what I'm saying? He landed one of the great jabs. And you know what I'm saying? And the rest was history. And at age 45, he became the oldest man ever to win a title, besting the record formerly held by Jersey Joe Walcott, who I think was 37, nearly 38 when he won the heavyweight title. And George Foreman made more money marketing himself as the affable George Foreman. He became a big celebrity, man, had a television program, but it was really those damn grills. It was those grills. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know how accurate these numbers are now. These numbers are probably obsolete. But George Foreman, I think, made something along the lines of 300 to $500 million off of those grills. Far more than the amount of money that he made in boxing as far as fighting. And then after his career ended in 1997, he went into being a sports commentator. And I remember him used to always sparring with Larry Merchant. And, he still stayed, after he left that gig, man, he always pretty much still stayed George Foreman. He had a movie come out a couple years ago. And this is shocking to me, man. It really is. At the end of the day, um, like I said, I seen him recently in a video. He looked fine. He looked older, but he was hitting the heavy bag. Hitting the heavy bag and still like he was throwing some bombs, man. So they said that he passed away surrounded by family, man. So I don't know if this was just a sudden illness that just overcame him. I guess we'll get more details um, as time goes on, man. But man, shocking news, man. Big George Foreman gone at the age of 76, man. So all of the great Lions are gone now. All of them. George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, Ken Norton, Joe Frazier, Ernie Shavers. They're all gone.